Hanya is here, and she will fill in the empty slot of Harmony's physical element. Getting more Harmony characters in the game is always such good news, as their supportive capabilities are always valuable when building team setups. The key section of this guide will explain to you all the rules surrounding Hanya's skill, passives, and ultimate. If you found the guide helpful, consider liking the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on up-to-date information. I always read everyone's comments, so feel free to ask questions that were not answered in the video. Without further ado. One of the judges of the Xianzhou Luofu's Ten Lords Commission. Ordained by the Ten Lords and wielding the authority of the Oracle Brush, she reads the multitudes of human sins and transgressions, then issues punishments and karmic retribution. Hanya is a 4-star physical character that specializes in buffing up allies' damage and speed, while providing extra skill points. She follows the Harmony path. Hanya's unique kit makes it easy to find where it's centered around. That would be her skill, Samsara Locked. At level 10, it would immediately deal 240% of Hanya's attack as physical damage to a single target. Additionally, it applies a unique status called Burden. When the enemy with Burden status receives damage twice from an ally's basic attack, skill, or ultimate, the team would immediately recover a skill point. After this SP recovery effect has been triggered twice, the Burden status is automatically dispelled. You can monitor the Burden status through Hanya's battle interface. The circle outline represents the amount of attacks needed to trigger the SP recovery effect. If it shows a half-circle outline, it means that the next attack would trigger the SP recovery effect. The diamond-shaped highlights represent the amount of SP recovery effects that can still be triggered. If only one of the two diamond shapes are lit, it means that there's only one remaining SP recovery effect to be triggered. All of Hanya's passives work in synergy with the Burden status that she applies to the enemy. At level 10, Hanya's talent would provide a 2-turn 30% damage buff to the ally who attacks an enemy suffering from Burden status. Hanya's A2 trace provides a 1-turn 10% attack increase to the ally that triggered an SP recovery from the Burden status. Hanya's A4 trace would provide an extra skill point if the enemy with Burden status is killed when the first SP recovery from Burden status is already triggered. Hanya's A6 trace provides herself 2 extra energy whenever a skill point is recovered through the Burden status. Finally, we have Hanya's ultimate. At level 10, it provides a speed increase based on Hanya's 20% current speed and 60% attack increase on a target ally for 2 turns. Because of how Burden status works, it is a given that Hanya could just spam her skill and still remain SP positive, granted that she has a perfect rotation with her teammates. Taking this into consideration, Hanya will have 2 different playstyle, Memories Hanya and Full Physical Hanya. Memories Hanya will be her universal build. It takes advantage of the light cone called Memories of the Past. It synergizes well with Hanya due to her attack pattern and character element. By equipping Memories of the Past, Hanya will have a 3-turn ultimate rotation. This can be guaranteed as long as the light cone is at least rank 2, and Hanya's A6 trace is triggered 4 times within her 3-turn rotation. Because of the break effect stat provided by the LC, as long as Hanya is the one breaking the enemy, this would be her strongest subdealer build. Her numbers would be relatively close to Yukong's optimized subdealer build. The free-to-play alternative to Memories LC would be Meshing Cogs, but once you equip this, forget about any subdealer potential from Hanya. Then we have Full Physical Hanya, which is the core Harmony support of a mono-physical element team. She will be using the combination of Planetary Rendezvous LC and Penacony Planar set to maximize the damage output of all the physical damage dealers in the team. While she is included in the members that are being buffed by the LC and Planar set, Hanya's subdealer potential is weaker in this build, which goes to show just how powerful break effect stat is when it comes to physical characters. With this build, Hanya will have a non-guaranteed 3-turn ultimate rotation. She will need her A6 trace to trigger 4 times, and hopefully get hit directly 1 time within her 3-turn rotation. For the Cavern Relics, 4-piece messenger traversing hackerspace is ideal if you're trying to push her supportive capabilities even further. While the 4-piece effect is generally useless when trying to get an extra turn, this isn't exactly the reason why Hanya should use this set. If you can recall, Hanya's ultimate would boost an ally's speed based on her current speed. This means that the game would calculate her final speed, take 20% of it, and give it to the target ally. The 4-piece set effect of Messenger is granted to Hanya before she provides the speed boost of her ultimate. This optimizes the speed increase and might help you reach certain speed breakpoints. Aim for critical chance body relic if you want her to deal some damage. It would also help if the supports, including herself, are equipped with broken keel. Otherwise, aim for defensive options like HP or defense main stat if you want better survivability. Speed main stat for the boots. For the Planar set, Broken Keel and Penacony are very good options. Broken Keel is much more preferable if she is using the Memories build, which is Hanya's playstyle when teaming up with random elements. It also provides much-needed resistance stats, since she has no method to resist incoming debuffs. Penacony is the better option if Hanya is not equipped with Memories LC, since she would require more energy to maintain a 3-turn ultimate rotation. Obviously, the Planar set works best if she's in a mono-physical team. Just don't forget that her 3-turn ultimate rotation is not guaranteed with this setup, and would require herself to get hit directly once per rotation. Aim for an energy regeneration rope. Physical damage sphere if you want her to deal some damage. Otherwise, aim for defensive options like HP or defense main stat if you want better survivability. Hanya just needs to spam her skill. Let her teammates hit the enemy with burden status, and use her ultimate on the main carry. Or so I would like to say. The reality is, there's actually a number of annoying rules and conditions to optimize Hanya's gameplay. Here is the full list. You can take a screenshot of it so you can check it any time when you need to confirm something from Hanya's kit. Hanya's own skill applies the burden status, and immediately acts as the first trigger for the SP recovery effect. This means that the next character to attack the enemy with burden status would immediately trigger the first SP recovery effect. The SP recovery effect cannot be triggered by follow-up attacks. This is already mentioned in her skill description, but I thought people would most likely ask anyway. Hanya's talent triggers before the ally's attack. This means that if the ally attacks the enemy with burden status, they will receive the damage increase buff first before the enemy takes damage. This damage boost can also apply to Hanya herself, but only if the enemy is already in burden status before she attacks. So if the enemy didn't have burden status when Hanya used her skill, even if the enemy would immediately suffer from burden status, Hanya's skill damage won't trigger her talent for herself. Hanya's A2 trace only triggers after the attack that triggered the SP recovery. If an enemy is not in burden status, and Hanya immediately kills the target with her skill, it will not provide any skill point. If Hanya applies burden status with her skill, and an ally kills the target afterwards, that ally's attack would still act as the second trigger for Hanya's skill passive, giving you a skill point. But the kill itself would not trigger Hanya's A4 trace. For example, the enemy is suffering from burden status. This burden status already triggered its first SP recovery effect, and just requires one more attack to trigger the second SP recovery effect. If Hanya uses her skill on this enemy, she will first refresh the burden status, but would still trigger the SP recovery effect. Since she refreshes the burden status first, the SP recovery will be considered as the first SP recovery. Therefore, the enemy can only provide one more extra SP from its refreshed burden status. In this specific scenario, it is much better if Hanya simply uses her basic attack instead. When you have the option to retry a stage and are able to use Hanya's technique to enter the battle, try to make it land on a trash mob. You see, if the trash mob already had burden status applied to them, Hanya could simply do a basic attack against it to get +1 SP instead of -1 from using her skill. If an ally attacks the target and keeps it alive, they will trigger the first SP recovery effect. If the next ally kills the target, then they would trigger Hanya's A4 trace, which grants the team another skill point. This gives you a grand total of 3 SP coming from Hanya, just from 3 team actions. Hanya's first and second Eidolon works in synergy to allow herself to utilize 50 action value. By equipping 4-piece messenger, speed boots, triggering her second Eidolon and 15 speed substats, Hanya would reach a peak 200 speed stat. This is the amount of speed stat that you need to allow Hanya to move 3 times within the first cycle, and 2 times for each of the next cycles. Since the second Eidolon is not immediately applied on battle entry, and the 4-piece messenger effect is only applied whenever Hanya uses her ultimate, the random advance forwards she gets from her first Eidolon will help her maintain her 50 action value. Hanya's fourth Eidolon increases the duration of her ultimate by 1 turn. This is useful for Hanya if the target ally can keep up with Hanya's ridiculous speed. It will make her ultimate buff have 100% uptime since Hanya optimized ultimate rotation requires 3 turns. However, if the target ally is extremely slow and is only reaching 140 speed or less after Hanya's buff is applied, the extra turn duration isn't exactly that helpful. Hanya's final Eidolon increases the damage boost of her talent by an extra 10%. Pretty straightforward. Hanya could fit into almost any team, but her best teams would most likely be either monophysical or a team with carries that are extremely hungry for skill points. For monophysical, the carry could be either Argenti, Clara, Sushang, or physical MC. For the sustain, even though Natasha is physical, she doesn't particularly stand out in a monophysical team, so choose the best sustain based on your carry. The last slot is flexible, but someone like Luca could shine as both a support and damage dealer. Argenti, because he can easily attack the enemy with burden status, even if he isn't particularly aiming for them. Clara, because she can now comfortably spam her skill thanks to the extra SP recovery of Hanya. The only issue is Clara's taunt, which means there are less chances for Hanya to get hit, which can be a problem if she isn't using memories or Cogs LC. Sushang stands out for the fact that she can actually keep up with Hanya's speed, and would easily trigger the SP recovery effects of Hanya's burden status per turn. When Sushang uses her ultimate skill combo, she could trigger all the SP recovery effects of burden status alone. Remember that you need some crazy rotation optimization to make Hanya a true SP positive, so Sushang gets a special mention here. For teams that are hungry for SP, Hanya would be extremely valuable to carry such as Imbibidor Lunai, Sealy, and Qingke. More so if the team includes Bronya. This is pretty straightforward and doesn't need further explanation. Just remember that Hanya is only SP neutral if her teammates cannot trigger the second SP recovery effect of burden status. She can only be SP positive if there's 3 attacks coming from her teammates after she applies burden status. For example, even if Hanya could solve the SP drain of Yukong spamming her skill every turn means that she won't help in triggering the SP recovery effect of burden status. The only exception is when Yukong uses her ultimate. Meanwhile, someone like Pela, who is already SP positive, could make you drown in SP due to the combination of her basic attack and ultimate spam. Overall, Hanya will be amazing and unique. Should you try to pull or build Hanya if you get the chance? Yes, absolutely. Hanya is quite similar to Pela, where you basically slap them into any team that is hungry for skill points, but it can be argued that Hanya is overall much better at both enabling and providing SP. Hanya is just a bit tricky to use based on what was discussed in this guide. Her passives have all sorts of annoying rules and conditions. Optimizing the team's rotation to guarantee her SP positive playstyle can also be an issue. Still, an extremely solid support that I highly recommend for every player. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one.